Okay, so good evening to all. Today I will be giving an overview of combined stress research in legume crops around the world. So first question which will come to our minds would be why legumes? So there are few important reasons as to why we need to focus on legume as an agriculturally important uh, crop. So the first few, I would present the first few slides to highlight the importance and explain the importance of legumes. So firstly, it is highly suitable for human and animal consumption, as legumes are rich source of protein, dietary fibers, carbohydrates and minerals. Secondly, they have a unique relationship with the rhizobacteria in their root nodules, which help in nitrogen fixation from the atmosphere. Thirdly, they are highly useful as a diversification crop in agro-ecosystem because of their nitrogen fixation ability. Most of the fixed nitrogen is used by plant and remaining is released in the soil, which is useful for follow-up crop. And lastly, Leguminosae represents the third largest family of flowering plants, which comprises around 800 genera and 20,000 species. So Food and Agricultural Organization, which is a UN body, it declared 2016 as the International Year of Pulse to bring to light the crucial role that legume plays in healthy diet and sustainable food production. So these are few important legume crops like black beans, kidney beans, red lentils, soybean, chickpea, peas, green beans, moonbean and yellow split pea, which comprises a legume family. Now talking about their nutrient value, so on an average a 100-gram serving would have approximately 13% of protein, 21% of fiber, 30% of folate and 36% of manganese. So they are a good source of nutrition and highly suitable for consumption. Now let's look at the consumption pattern. First, this graph I would like to highlight. According to a Lancet study, this is the daily recommended dietary targets. So the values here represent the intake in grams. So if you look at legume, the recommended value of legume is 60 grams, but globally it is currently now being consumed around 47 grams, which is less than recommended values. Similarly, for whole grains also, the recommended value is far higher than what it is actually being consumed. So the consumption is less from the recommended value. But if you look at red meat and processed meat, the consumption globally is higher than the recommended values. So legumes, being a rich source of protein, can act as an alternative for meat consumption. Now if you look at the map, you can see that the Africa, Latin America and India, they show higher consumption pattern of legumes. However, other parts of the world such as European countries, Australia, America and Russia, they have lesser consumption compared to the other parts of the world. So now let's look at the world production trend. This graph shows top two producers of major legume crops. So India being a major producer of chickpea, followed by Australia. Nigeria being being a major producer of phaseolus and vigna, followed by Myanmar. Uh, Nigeria again being a major producer for cowpea, followed by Niger. For lentils, Canada is the major producer, followed by India. For pigeon pea, India is a major producer, followed by Myanmar. And for dry pea, Canada is the major producer, followed by Russia. So overall, if you look at it, India is contributing a big portion of legume production to the world. Now looking at the losses, so despite the production, there is always a possibility of yield loss, which can occur due to various environmental or microbial factors. So estimated loss by weeds can range between 23% to 87% of the total yield. And bean golden mosaic virus, which has been estimated to cause loss of 90,000 to 280,000 tons per annum. And sterility mosaic disease, which is a pigeon pea disease, has caused annual crop loss valued around 300 million US dollar, which is only in India. It affects other neighboring countries like Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan. So this loss of $300 million is only in India. So it will definitely account for more loss in other South Asian countries. Now coming to the yield loss in combined stress perspective, if we look at this graph here for chickpea and lentil crop, if a single stress like a single virus, bacteria or drought or any abiotic factor, it results in loss of around 15%. Then if that stress is combined with another stress factor, then combined stress is then the loss is increased. And this similar pattern is seen in lentil, that combined stress will result in more yield loss compared to single stress. So there is a definite need to address this combined stress situation among legumes. Now if you look at this disease triangle, when a plant is or a host is growing in nature, it will encounter various abiotic such as light, water, temperature, and biotic factors such as bacteria, fungi, virus, and nematode. So any imbalance in one of these factors will result in unhealthy plant growth. And with changing climate condition, there is a need to address this interrelationship between plant and its growing surrounding. So now one interesting question about legume is like legumes, uh, as already mentioned in the previous slides, they are naturally co-inhabited by this symbiotic bacteria, which is rhizobacteria, and these bacteria reside in the root nodules and provide nitrogenous compounds to the plant, and in return the plant will provide nutrition or photosynthesis products to bacteria, which will help bacteria in its growth. So it would be interesting to understand the impact of another stress factor on growth and physiology of legume plants. So majorly combined stress can be divided into three broad categories. First being abiotic, second abiotic, third being biotic. So under abiotic category, overall 11 combinations we have found with around 25 plus article. And under abiotic category, around 22 combinations have been found so far with around 50 plus articles. And under biotic category, a total of 9 combinations have been found with around 80 plus articles. So if you look at this graph shows the trend of increasing number of scientific publications which are coming starting from the decade of 1950s to 2010. There with advancement in technology, there is a definite number of increase in the scientific publication which address the combined stress problem. So if you look closely, the three major categories of combined stress, the first being abiotic. So major work has been done on crops like soybean, chickpea, alfalfa, Interaction of heavy metal like cadmium have been shown with the legume plants. Interaction of drought, heat and salinity have also been shown under this category. In the next category of abiotic, crops like cowpea, chickpea, soybean and alfalfa have been studied, and their interaction with cadmium along with the pathogen species such as pseudomonas, aphid and spider mites have been studied, and few weed species also have been studied so far, in which include species like joyweed, quackgrass, Florida beggarweed, rough cockleburn, knotgrass and white goosefoot. Under biotic category, crops like soybean, chickpea, lentil, Kajan, peanut and cowpea have been studied. And among all these studies, the major pathogen species which have emerged is a nematode species of Melidogyne species and Pratylenchus species, fungal species like Fusarium oxysporum and Rhizoctonia. So this is a list of possible stress combination under abiotic category. Among these, this list, drought and heat are is the major combination which have occurred so far. So we know that drought and heat individually are two important factors which affect the growth of any plant, and it was interesting to look at this combination and find so many publications related to it. So among the upcoming slide, I will cover few case studies related with drought and heat stress combinations. Moving on to the next category of abiotic. This is the list which we found that this is the possible combinations, stress combinations which actually occur in nature among legume plants. Among these, nutrient and insect stress and drought and weed stress were found to be more important, with more number of articles addressing this stress combination. And in the case studies, we will discuss one example from each this major stress combination. So this is the list of biotic stress combination. So combinations like fungus and fungus stress, fungus insect, fungus mite, fungus and oomycetes, nematode and fungus, and so on and so forth has been reported in leguminous plants. Among these stress combination, nematode and fungus emerged as one of the big and major combination which affected legume plants. So now let's start with the case studies to have a deeper understanding of these major stress combinations. So first category being the abiotic stress categories. So these are few reports which highlight the work ongoing work around the world to address the abiotic stress combination. First report which highlights the work of Israeli researchers which have developed AI method to predict water and heat stress in crops. And the second report talks about biostimulants combined with the micronutrients which have shown to reduce the heat and drought stress in plants. So the first example in drought and heat stress combination has been here I have shown from Sehgal et al., which shows effect of drought and heat stress on qualitative and quantitative aspect of seeds of lentil. So the authors have used two varieties of lentils, one being drought tolerant, which is labeled here as DT, and other being drought sensitive, which is labeled as drought sensitive. So first we look at the graph under seed weight. So if you look at it, you see that under combined stress of heat and drought showed like synergistically reduced number of the seed weight is reduced synergistically compared to the individual stress or the control values. Now if you look at the seed number graph here, you see that seed number also reduces synergistically under combined stress of heat and drought compared to individual stress of heat and drought or control. So we can clearly deduce that combined heat and drought stress is highly detrimental to yield of lentil. Moving on to the next study, this is again a drought and heat stress combination by Lee et al. Here a genome-wide analysis of heat shock family protein was done under heat and drought stress in soybean. So the graph A shows relative expression level under drought condition, and graph under panel B shows relative expression level of various heat shock family protein under heat. So the expression pattern was observed for various heat shock family protein, as you can see here in the axis, and among which heat shock factor 09, which I have highlighted here with the red, and heat shock factor 34 showed induced expression under both stress treatment of heat and drought. So later on in this article, if you look up, so heat shock factor 34 was validated to play a crucial role under combined stress in soybean. So the next category we'll talk about is abiotic. So few reports here which highlight the interaction of biotic factor with plants. So first highlighting the potential risk of Helicoverpa armigera to US soybean production, and the second report shows the Minnesota Daily report shows that university researchers are trying to develop aphid resistant soybean variety. So in this category, the first study is from the nutrient and insect stress combination. Here, the study was done on soybean, and influence of potassium fertility was observed on aphid. So if you look at the graph here and focus on the red arrows which I have highlighted here, so you will observe that under a low potassium level of soil, the insect like aphid fecundity and survival was high. So to reduce aphid population and consequently the damage caused by it, the soil should be supplemented with more potassium so that the survival and fecundity of aphid is reduced. So next study is from the combination which talks about drought and wheat stress combination in again soybean. So here the authors have used a weed species which is Digitaria cillaris, or commonly known as crabgrass. So if you look at the graph here on the right hand side, so this is the graph relative yield under drought condition, and the graph on the left hand side is a graph when the plants were grown together under normal water condition. So if you look at the arrows here, I have pointed out that the relative yield of soybean was reduced, and overall also the relative yield of both the competing species was reduced, and you observe a curve which is concave in shape, so which indicates that the relative yield was less than 1. And if the relative yield was less than 1, then this shows that the competing the two species are showing an antagonistic competition. So again, this study highlights the importance of combined drought and wheat stress in soybean. Moving on to the third and last category of biotic interaction, few reports here indicate studies being conducted in this direction. First being this tomato plants which were found to be more resistant against nematodes when colonized by a fungal species. And the second report here, which is what to look for in soybean seedling, talks about various disease caused by fungus and other biotic factors in soybean. So coming to the first study from nematode and fungus stress in chickpea, this study by Sambal and Mahmood show reduced number of pods under combined stress by nematode species Melidogyne incognita and fungal species Macrophomina fasciolina. And also if you look at the second graph, which shows root rot disease severity, so you will see that under combined stress of fungus and nematode, the disease severity was very high compared to the individual fungal disease caused by fungus Macrophomina on chickpea. So overall, this study shows that this stress combination is more detrimental to the chickpea plant compared to the individual stress. Moving on to the next second study under this category of nematode and fungus stress combination. Here the interaction of the authors have shown the interaction of Melidogyne incognita and Fusarium solanae in lentil. So here also if you see, the number of pods was reduced under combined stress, and if you see the root rot percentage also, again the root rot percentage was high under combined stress compared to the single stress of fungus. So this again highlights that combined stress of nematode and fungus is more detrimental for lentil plants. So to conclude, like what these case studies are trying to indicate, that overall the studies highlight the investigations done in various possibilities of combined stress area, showing effect on important traits like yield, growth and physiology of legume plants. So for future perspective, it is important to assess the impact of various other possible stress combination on wide range of economically important legume crops, and the focus should be on development of stress tolerant or resistant cultivars by deploying various breeding and molecular biology tools. Investigations should be done to assess and reduce the impact of climate change with respect to yield. And lastly, but not least, safeguarding the nitrogen fixation activity of grain legumes and find a suitable approach to achieve the best improvements. So in the future, I will be presenting more about trait based discussion in legume plants. So these traits would be from yield or yield traits, biomass, net photosynthesis, chlorophyll content and disease index. Thank you.